My name's Charlotte, and I am a compulsive overeater, and grateful and surprised to be here today. But really thankful that I've been asked at the last minute and can be of service to you. So I'm not a normal eater by default, and I have a solution. I have a solution today because of OA. So I thought I'd share a couple of bits from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, purely because it's the literature I used to work my set of steps. And there are a couple of chapters that really helped me ground me actually for going into it. And it's really nice that we started with some meditation as well. So that was really, really lovely. I came into OA in 2004 in July. It was the summer. I'd been in rehab for 7 months, having only planned to be there for 10 weeks in South Africa. And I still didn't think that I had a problem. And I thought it was everybody else that was the problem. And I got abstinent so I've just had a birthday. I've been abstinent since November 3rd, 2007. So I turned 18. It's nice to say that again in OA. And I'm so grateful to my fellowship and to my higher power and all that that encompasses. So for the newcomer today, welcome. You're very welcome. And to everybody else, it's great to have you here as well. I I didn't think I was a normal eater, and I'm just going to share a bit from the doctor's opinion on page XXVIII. And this paragraph, I challenged it, and it broke me in the end, and it really became a foundational to my step one. And step one is we admitted we're powerless over food, that our lives are unmanageable. So it says here, we believe, and so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol or food on these chronic alcoholics, compulsive overeaters, is a manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate eater. Then it says men and women binge because they like the effect produced by food. The sensation, I'm all about sensation, I am. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it is injurious, they cannot after a time differentiate the true from the false. To them, their compulsive overeating life, anorexic, bulimic, however it's manifesting, it did in all of these ways for me. But predominantly, I had, I'm a compulsive overeater, and it seemed the normal one, the only normal way to exist for me from the age of 6 years old was to comfort eat and to eat huge portions of food. And then when I got to 14, I thought I'd found the elixir to all. I literally just purged from the age of 14 up to the age of 29 and thought that that was the solution to stay thin. I've tried everything from diet pills to speed to diet programs to gyms, forgetting I'd joined the gym and joined another one, on the old January burst, and Monday morning diet. And that was my life for the best part of 2 decades. And this is the miracle bit for me, page 84 to 85. It says, I've put here hidden promises because they're not the actual promises in that we hear about on page 83. This is, I don't know, I suppose the step 10 promises, if you could call it that. And we have ceased fighting anything or anyone, even the food. For by this time, sanity will have returned. We will seldom be interested in our binge foods. If tempted, we recoil from it as from a hot flame. We react sanely and normally, and we will find that this has happened automatically. We will see how our new attitude toward liquor, towards our binge foods, or compulsive eating, anorexic bulimia, has been given us without any thought or effort on our part. It just comes. That is the miracle of it. We're not fighting it, neither are we avoiding temptation. We feel as though we've been placed in a position of neutrality, safe and protected. We've not even sworn off. That, for me, that's the Monday morning diet. Never doing it again. That's it. Right, starting afresh. New list. New me. Instead, the problem has been removed. It does not exist for us. We're neither cocky nor are we afraid. That is our experience. That is how we react, so long as we keep in fit spiritual condition. So hence, it's really lovely to start a meeting with a 3-minute meditation. And that was me. My life was all about fighting everyone, everything, myself, using food. I hated food and I loved it. It was just, for me, it was a love relationship. I've never been a normal eater. I have certain foods that trigger me, and I can also binge on anything. I'm a volume eater if I'm left to my own devices. Now, this thing about we react sanely and normally, that is my experience today. But it's not a magic pill. It's not a magic bullet. I always remember a sponsor telling me that. I don't just snap my fingers and that's it. I'm abstinent and I'm well and it's all going to be fine. I really did have to put in some hard graft in this program in order to have the life I have today and be living it one day at a time, recovered, not cured. And I'm really clear on that. Cocky, I'm completely cocky and arrogant, have to hand over those defects because they don't keep me safe. And when I came into OA, it took me about 3 years to surrender the food. I was part time. I think I was in about 5 fellowships when I started OA. That's not my experience today. I don't know what I was doing, to be fair. I was trying to label myself, and I avoid labels, trying to avoid labels today. My name is Charlotte. I have a higher power, and that's the most important relationship in my life today because it's on that basis that I have everything else. And for me, and this is only I don't speak for OA as a whole, this is my experience. Um, I got a sponsor. It took me 3 years to put the food down in OA. I had white knuckled abstinence a lot of the time, which was a bit like a diet. The compulsion never left me. It was just intense and really, I don't know, it consumed my body and mind. I felt like I was on a constant vibrate mode through life, but especially in OA, I heard all this talk that we talk in the program about the steps, traditions, service, tools, but I was really here part time. That was my experience. I was here part time, and then I got abstinent for about 8 months, and then I went on the binge of all binges. And I'd done rehab by now. I could talk the talk. I'd read the book. I'd done the OA workbook. I did other fellowships workbooks. I had gone through the big book using it for another addiction, and it had worked. But I never had heard of anybody using it at the time for food, and I found a sponsor that did, and I started to get abstinent by calling in my food. That really helped me. It was really weird. um, when I was invited to do that by a sponsor, and she was really clear. She said, "Don't trust me, trust my program," and that's the important thing. My experience, strength, and hope is, it's her. That's what I needed from her. Um, we were different cultures, we were different backgrounds. There were so many differences, but we had a common bond and a common solution. We were both compulsive overeaters, and I respected this person's recovery immensely, and worked with her for 3 months, and then went back into the food. And I was like, what? I've been calling in my food. I've been doing a food review every day. I've been, checking the food in. I'm starting to write the big book. And it's when I got to good old step 6 and I saw the defects. And I was like, no, 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 no. This isn't, I don't have defects of character, nothing wrong with me. And to be, I have assets and I have defects. I'm not a perfect person. I am a human being. However, there were certain patterns of behavior and certain defects that would roll with me, and I didn't want to let them go. They were as insidious as the food, but as alluring as the food. I was so tempted by them, and it did happen to center around a romantic relationship that I was just not willing to let go of. And I'm not saying here, disclaimer to anybody, to let go of your relationships this morning. I was in one that was very toxic, sadly. Sick pick sick, and that was my experience. And unfortunately, we were very unwell people. And as a result of that, it was a very unwell dynamic. And I couldn't remain abstinent while in that dynamic, and I didn't want to let go of it. Isn't that insane? Something that hurts you so much, just like the food hurt me. And there's a bit, I can't remember what page it's on, about to be doomed to a compulsive overeating death, or to face a spiritual experience, I think it is, or is not are not always easy alternatives to face. And to be fair, I didn't come in here for a relationship with any spiritual walk or anything. It wasn't my thing. I do have one now, a very strong one. I tried it without it. And again, this is my experience. I kept coming back to my thoughts, my control, a real control freak, wanting to do things my way, my time. And it was hurting
10
me.
minutes, Charlotte. Love.
Thanks so much. And it was really hurting me. And that's why it changed. I had to be willing to let go of the things that were hurting me, including the food. And it was really hard. I actually went through a detox process with the food, coming out of certain foods. That's why I read the allergic bit, because I've come off other things as well, and the detoxification has been horrendous. But I've had to go through it. And that phrase, the only way out is through. And I had to go through. I was all about the easier, softer way. That was my thing. Find the way around it, go under it. I was always about making a fast buck, happy to step on anyone's toes. But I try to be of service today. Hence, I'm here totally. I've never done a 7 a.m. chair, so I'm really, this is a new thing for me. So hopefully there'll be something coherent out of this. Um, I had to really die to self and let go of those things. There's a bit in the big book that talks about huge emotional displacements and rearrangements. I think it says ideas and guiding forces, paraphrasing, that were once, are the things that used to lead me. I had to be willing to let go, to really surrender what I thought was best for me and best for you, by the way. I had a disclaimer on that as well. Yeah, I thought I knew. And unfortunately for me, I had to be very broken. I did leave my relationship. I did end up in a women's safe house, and I, I've had lots of bumps along the way, but I really did have focus on my program. I had time, and I was afforded a gap in my recovery where I wasn't working, and I resented it at the time because my identity came a lot from what I did, quote unquote. And I was too unwell to work at the time. And I'm so grateful for that period, because it really helped me to listen, listen. I'm not a good listener. OA is still teaching me after 18 years abstinent to listen to people, and meet people where they're at. And I had a sponsor that listened for hours and then would say, "How about this?" or "Have you thought of this?" Or uh, so I really do rock the sponsors. I am so grateful to be one today, and it's not about me. It's really not about me. It's about the program that I've been given. So I did learn how to eat in this program. I learned how to have gaps between my meals. All that life, about 5 hours in between my food, maybe more. It depends on what was going on. But I learned to line my day up with my food. I learned how to look at my food, plan it, hand it over, park it, and get on with my day. And then my day had to line up around my food. So I had to think about I ended up asking a higher power to help me cook my food. And I felt this was so weird, but I did it. I faked it to make it, and I act as if. Is
Few
that my
minutes,
2 minutes?
lovely.
Thank you, Wendy. So yeah, I learned how to have gaps between the food and feel the feelings in between each meal, and every meal is a victory where I don't pick up, and I'm really thankful for that. I did a lot of outreach. Some of those dear fellows of my early days are not in program anymore, and I wish them well, and pray for their best. But I'm here still. I'm still rocking up and doing the best I can. So I learned how to eat. I learned how to hand it over to a sponsor. I still do a food review to keep myself accountable. Relapse doesn't happen overnight. It's a build up of my dishonest thinking and actions until it leads to the first compulsive bite. I looked at the job description of a higher power, and I did one for me, in step 2, to restore me to sanity. And I did my step 3 in London, in the UK, London, on Clapham Common. I used to have a home group in Clapham, and it was very dear to me. I live in the southwest now of England, in Somerset. So yeah, I did my step 3, and that really gave me the commitment and the decision to work steps 4 through to 9 and deal with that wreckage of the past, to look at the resentments, because it was everyone and everything, including myself. And predominantly, I didn't want to be a compulsive overeater. I didn't want to be in a fellowship called Overeaters Anonymous. And I had to, I laid it all out. There was stuff that happened in my past that I put through the columns and got outside help for. And I'm thankful to those services. Big Book says never begrudge a good doctor, psychiatrist, or practitioner, and I don't. So I got the help I needed. Defects. I'm still praying about those. So I do an annual step 4 and 5 with a sponsor. I've had different sponsors in recovery. I have a wonderful sponsor today, and I still have the same program that I worked with my first sponsor, because it works, so I don't change it. I'm all for, if I can change something as a compulsive person to fix the way I feel, I will, including my program, and I don't need to change what works. And so I hand my defects over
Gentle
every.
time.
Okay, and just to round off, I hand the defects over in 6 and 7. I make amends where I need to in 8 and 9, and I live my program in 10 to 12. And yeah, my relationship with my higher power is a daily commitment. Thank you for letting me share today.